Welcome, everybody. This is the Rig on Wheels show, the first ever truck driving recruitment show. I am your host, Kameel E. Gaines, the founder and CEO over here at Rig on Wheels. And we have our fabulous Robert Pierson, the VP at Mesilla Valley Transportation. Go ahead, tell us a little bit about yourself, because last week I just messed everything up with our intro.
No,
Pierson.
you got it right. Robert Pierson, VP of Driver Recruiting here at Mesilla Valley Transportation. And Camille, as always, excited to be on with you again today.
Okay, so we give you all of your news, your hot jobs, tips, and all of that type of stuff. We're going to definitely kick off a challenge for driver recruitment week and everything for next week, driver appreciation week. Sorry about that, for next week. So we're going to definitely kick off a challenge about that. But first, Pierson wants to talk about some news, because I feel like we keep talking about this diesel. It is so depressing, because I hit the road this week. Of course, not in a tractor trailer, because you barely want me driving a car. But I'm just saying, when I pull up to the pump, I'm just like, this is ridiculous. So we're going to talk about that again this week and a little bit other news. What you want to say, Pearson?
Yeah, diesel sitting at 447 right now on the national average. It's going to keep on going up, most likely through the remainder of the year, with some dips and valleys in there. Saudi Arabia and Russia are still keeping the oil cuts that they did earlier this year in place. Some of that in Russia's end most likely is related to the war in Ukraine. So that's going to be interesting to watch. I would not anticipate any relief in the fuel islands as you come up and fill up either big rig or a car for the foreseeable future. And then, of course, with the spot market where it is, you're seeing some rates out there that are really ugly. A lot of carriers with 5 or fewer trucks struggling to make ends meet because there's not profitable freight. So it's one of the reasons why last year you saw a major arms race on driver pay that you're not seeing this year, where everybody's doing constant pay increases. A big part of that is because the freight market's not supporting it, which leads into our industry doing a lot of acquisitions and mergers. We saw that recently with TriMac. TriMac, I believe, picked up a carrier out of Alberta and one out of Gleason, Tennessee, at Doyle Sims and Sons Trucking on August 23rd. So we're seeing a lot of that acquisition phase going for a lot of carriers. In the case of TriMac, this would be the third and fourth carrier they picked up in 2023 so far. So we're going to continue to see a lot of that as the freight market stays suppressed. You'll see companies, essentially, the bigger you are as a company, the more likely you are to survive it. It's the challenge for a lot of smaller fleets, and why smaller fleets have to run efficiently. Not the time to start putting $20,000 worth of chrome on your truck. It's not the time to decide you want to take that 2-week vacation just because you got to keep revenue coming in to make your payments. And so you're going to see a continuation of that as you see Transport Topics tracks the top 100 carriers. Do not be surprised to see a lot of those carriers acquiring smaller companies or even like-size companies, as we saw earlier this year when Swift Knight picked up Variant US Express. So we're going to see a lot of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, we are trending that way. It seems like every week we see another company being picked up by somebody else. But then that piggybacks on what you keep saying every week about relationships, servicing your clients, making sure you touching base with everybody. And then for the drivers, making sure that you are servicing the clients as you go into your shippers, going to the yards, because you are the first ones that everybody is speaking to. So making sure you're doing that. So what I want to do is go to our first commercial, and then when we come back, I want to talk about our driver appreciation week for next week. Okay, so I want this driver appreciation week to be something fairly easy but elite all at the same time, right? Okay, so we know it's September 10th through the 16th and it's during the Virgo time. And for anybody that doesn't know, today is my birthday. So I want to do something that's pretty biased. I love truck drivers and I love Virgos. So let's just put it all together. And because it was such a success last time when it came to texting the Rig on Wheels number for something that was said during the podcast that Pierson said. So I wanted to be something that I said during the podcast or during the Rig on Wheels show this time. So just the first truck driver that texts me and can prove that their birthday is in September and is a Virgo, I would like to have Rig on Wheels Show be able to sponsor you a Blue Parrot headset. Okay? Are you okay with that, Pearson?
No,
Any
absolutely.
good headset? And the reason why is I remember some years ago recruiting and talking to a truck driver, and I was like, oh, you're not driving right now, so you won't have any problem picking up the telephone and talking to the company that I put his app in for. And he was like, I'm driving down 95 right now. And I was like, really? What do you have in your head? Because I was, working from home and I'm going through all of these headsets, and he told me he had a Blue Parrot. And so for all my recruiters, that's what I recommend if they're not using the phone through the computer. If they're actually using the phone system through their phone, I actually tell them to use that because I personally really, really like it. So that's what I would like to have the Rig on Wheels show sponsor is a Blue Parrot a noise canceling headset. So again, if you can prove that you are a Virgo truck driver and your birthday is in the month of September, and I want you to text the telephone number 281 968 3100 281 968 3100. The Rig on Wheel Show will be sending you a Blue Parrot headset, or if it's more convenient to just send you the gift card. Either way, you just kind of let us know. All right. Thank you for that. So let's kind of jump into it. Well, I first want to talk about it. We can't have any touching the devices, right? So that's safety. Safety tacks on to retention, because if you get a ticket, a moving violation for touching your electronic devices, that is a huge ticket. A lot of truck drivers, even your vets, don't realize how big of a ticket that is, because electronic device is a very large ticket. It weighs more than going 5 to 10 miles over for most carriers. Okay, so I do want to let you know that. And then when you're talking about ticket, that tacks on to retention. So retention means you being able to get a job of your choice. And then if you're looking on the carrier side, that's profitability. So whether you're a truck driver, is you getting a job or the route of your choice, you getting the pay of your choice, you getting the home time of your choice. And then if you are a carrier, we're talking about the profitability. So that's how all of that tax in, because it drives right back to safety. That's why that's such a big deal.
Yep, and most of your carriers will terminate you for the offense. It's one of those things that's kind of universal at this point, where if you get caught with that cell phone, if you're cited for it, if a camera catches you, if there's any evidence that you've done it before, you're highly likely to be terminated from your employment. MVT is no exception to that. It's one of those things that you can easily avoid doing. We have some drivers that like to communicate via text. But generally the responsibility on the driver is not to do it while they're operating a commercial motor vehicle. I don't know of any major carrier that won't terminate a driver for the offense. It's kind of a universal thing at this point, and so you do not want to go down that path.
And what's good about a smartphones at this point is you can do talk to text. So it you don't have to touch your phone anymore to text. You don't have to touch your phone anymore to call. You can say, "Hey Siri, call Pierson." So it's pretty easy. Um, so it's no reason for it. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. So safety is key when you're out here on the road. So let's talk about other safety things that can get you in trouble since we're on the topic. Let's talk about other things, not just MBT, just industry wide. What are other things that can kind of get you in trouble, Pierson?
Well, I will say part of them are the common sense things because a lot of carriers don't want to deal with the things that are kind of no brainers. It wasn't that long ago that we went through the safety belt crackdown in the U.S. Generally speaking, if you operate that commercial vehicle and it moves forward a couple inches and you don't have your seatbelt on, you will have a DOT officer happy to write you a ticket for that. There's certain carriers that will get rid of you in that scenario just because of the fact that it doesn't take much effort on your end. You literally just need to not do it. Speeding tickets are all viewed differently from one carrier to the next. The big one's the 15 miles per hour or over. It goes into that reckless driving territory. And as a driver, trust me, I've heard every story there. You don't understand. My truck's governed at 65. I couldn't have been going 80. If you're going downhill, you can, absolutely.
Right.
If you get a 15 or over, even small carriers will avoid that because insurance has really cracked down on those excessive speeding tickets. The other thing that I will tell any driver is if, God forbid, I hire a driver and something bad happens, I have to go into a deposition being questioned by an attorney, and I have to explain that there's not a habit of bad behavior. So as an example, you can have a failure to obey. You can have a speeding ticket. You can have a didn't operate device or didn't follow directions, like a traffic sign or a red light. You can have one of those things. The challenge is once you get one, you do not want to get that second one within the next 3 years. Because the problem is no matter how anybody's minimum hiring guidelines is written out, if you show that you're a creature of habit, that you have a habit of doing the same thing over and over again, and then it plays a role in, God forbid, an accident, no company can defend it against an attorney because the attorney is going to look at that and says, this driver has a habit of driving in this manner and you guys hired the driver. So just because you ask as a company, hey, show me your qualification guidelines or what are your hiring criteria, those are minimums. Those are not the end all be all. And so if you have that speeding, if you have the failure to obey, if you have multiple offenses like that, and it keeps happening, there will be companies that tell you no, and it's not that you didn't meet their minimum hiring guidelines. It's that they're going to have trouble, God forbid, if they're ever questioned by an attorney. So be very clear on that. You can ask a company to see their minimum hiring guidelines, but they're just that, they're minimum. And most carriers now look at, are you a creature of habit?
It's all about patterns. So we look at the application because majority of, as a third party recruiter, the majority of mega companies, like you just said, is the requirements are just a bare minimum, and the mega companies look at the entire application as a whole. So the entire application speaks in patterns, and everything is looked at. So, not saying NVT, I'm just saying let's look at mega companies or mid-sized companies, period. A lot of people are not going to talk about yes or no's when it comes to the criminal or anything like that. They look at everything as a whole, as a pattern. How many times does this person take a risk? Because if they take a risk a lot of times in this area, they're going to take a there's more chance, quote unquote, that they'll take a risk in this area. How long has it been since they've taken a risk? And what's the likelihood that they'll take a risk in this area? So just think about that as you're doing things in your everyday life. Think about it in a business sense. So when I talk to drivers or whether they're newer drivers, they're trying to get into it, I'll say, with this application, would you hire yourself? And a lot of times they will kind of pause. And I'll say, when would you hire yourself?
I think the biggest thing to look at it is their red flags. We think about it when we date somebody, and I'll word it this way. Let's say as a guy, you go out with a woman and you find out that the last 2 relationships she had ended with a case of arson. She burned down her last boyfriend's house. The time before that, his car magically caught fire. At that point, that doesn't mean that she's going to start fires when things go bad. But I would advise you to take that into consideration when you go, do I want to go on date number 2? It's the same thing on this end. When you look at a carrier, you're looking for red flags. So if you know you want to avoid certain things at a carrier, you're looking for those red flags that I don't want to have this happen again. The carrier does the same thing with you. They're simply looking, is there red flags and does it work? And the challenge for me when I've sat through about a dozen depositions over the years, me saying, well, my motivation was I wanted to fill a truck. Not going to work real well, not going to go over well for me. And so that's the key thing on that. Now, there's some of this stuff too with minimum hiring guidelines that are really a case-by-case basis, especially when it comes to felony, criminal background. I know that that's not the fun answer because you want a clear-cut yes or no, but it really is a case-by-case basis. I can tell you that we have worked with folks that potentially had an issue in their past from a criminal standpoint. We look at the length of time that it was in their past. We look at their entire employment history. Is it a steady work history? Is it a safe work history? So on a lot of that, it really is a case-by-case basis. The only other thing from a criminal nature, non-driving standpoint, that's a absolute no is with any carrier now, it's supposed to be, if you're on the clearinghouse, you're not going to get hired on. And the clearinghouse is on there. It's a collection of all your drug tests that you take over your career. If you're not registered on the clearinghouse, eventually you will be. And that clearinghouse, if you're on there with a failed either pre-employment drug screen or one of the random drug tests as part of the random drug testing pool, you will find your career opportunities to be null and void. If you find a carrier that is doing that currently, they won't be soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So the point is, us women, we don't do arson, but sometimes we do yell. Sometimes we do yell. Myself, I just yell. So the thing is, you want to give more green flags than red flags. So how can you present yourself better as a professional driver? Because the days of holding the steering wheel are over. We do not want any truck driver looked at as someone that just holds a steering wheel. That is, truck drivers are the end all when it comes to the trucking industry. Okay, end all be all. So we definitely don't want any of that. So it's about being a professional driver, showing up on time, being courteous at the shippers, letting your fleet manager know what's going on, staying in touch with your dispatcher, being in communication all the time, and thinking about your safety. But communication is key. I feel like we say that type of stuff all the time. It's the whole communication word of everything. But we're gonna definitely go to commercial, and then we're gonna talk about high jobs when we come back. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming back. We are going to jump into it, and Pierson is going to jump off, and we're going to talk about 220 and you getting to chain everything and making this big money out of Phoenix. Because
Yeah,
you,
absolutely. And then we'll have another opportunity that you aren't necessarily aware of coming soon. We'll save that probably for 2 weeks from today, where I think we may have a dedicated opportunity that we get to share with the group. So that's not going to get talked about this week, but that's coming in 2 weeks. And so we're really excited about that out of the El Paso marketplace.
okay.
Division 220, on the other hand, we talked about it a little last week. We're hiring out of Albuquerque, Portland, Salt Lake City, and Phoenix. It's the division where we can get into the six figures. It's Mountain West driving. You're going to see a lot of those markets. You're out 7 to 8 days. Most of our folks are making anywhere between $90,000 to $106,000 a year. The key to it there is it's mountain driving. You need to be dedicated. You need to be detail oriented, and you need to be able to stay out a full week on that end. That's why it pays more than many other positions. With that said, have comfortable equipment, have really good routine customer base, a really good dispatcher on it, and you'll enjoy the division. It's good money week in and week out, where you're going to average $1,800 to $2,100 a week. Again, $90,000 to $106,000 a year. In particular, for your more grizzled veterans out there, your folks that have been doing it longer, at a 60 cent per mile pay rate and consistent miles, you're going to find that it equals a really good paycheck every week.
Well, we definitely need that, especially in that area, because the cost of living is it's up there. It's
Yep.
definitely up there. So tell us about the chains, because I know sometime they're gonna have to do that there.
Yeah, during the wintertime, you'll go through some of the areas that you may need to chain up, depending on weather. Obviously, winter weather will affect the Mountain West considerably. We operate safely, and there's states like Colorado, Utah that have chain laws that you need to adhere to. We make sure that you have the latest and greatest equipment, so you have stuff that's reliable and can depend on and work with. But chaining's definitely a part of it come the winter months. Like I said, the average truck driver in this industry makes about $56,000 a year. Don't believe all the hype. If you go to a truck stop and find the trucking magazines and it looks like everybody's living a millionaire's life, I promise you that ain't the case. But with that said, this is one of those jobs. The sacrifice is the mountain driving and all that comes with it. And that's why you get into that six-figure range.
It ain't for everybody, but it definitely is for the drivers that are used to it and comfortable with doing the training. And
We
they
have
can,
we have 6 people in class this week specifically for this division. 5 of those live out of the Phoenix area. This seems to be a very popular division for our Phoenix-based drivers. And in Phoenix, you need it, where the average house is $568,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. You need to make that money.
okay. Well, all right. Is that the only job you want to talk about today?
Yeah, we're going to hold off here for a couple weeks here. Like I said, we got a couple things up our sleeve here, including the reopening of what's called Division 300 down the line here. So we got some exciting stuff brewing here that I'm really excited to be talking about here in about 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, what I want to do is go to commercial. I know Kayla had a couple of questions that she wanted to throw out here. So we'll do that when we come back.
My name is Stacy Morton, and my position is OTR driver, and I've been with the company for 8 months. I enjoy being with part of the family because good miles, nice people, they listen to the drivers. The pay is excellent here at MVT. The home time is very good. You get to go home anytime you want. The dispatchers are really nice. They listen to the drivers, whatever you want. They will do their best to give you what you need. And the equipment is good, and safety is excellent. Yeah, they're fast, and the roadside is good. They listen to you, and they get the job fixed in a timely manner. Yeah, I would recommend other drivers to come to MVT because this is a good place to work, and you get excellent home time and everything that you need here.
You know what? Let's talk about MVT's driver appreciation last week.
Yeah, so we do things a little bit different than most of the other carriers. I know the week of the 10th of September, people will celebrate it. We're not real big on it being just one time a year. We try to do and tie in a couple other things into that driver appreciation. So our third quarter driver appreciation was last week. We'll do another in the fourth quarter. That's also where we do the car giveaway as an example. So that car giveaway takes a place on that. If you follow us on Facebook, literally Mesilla Valley Transportation on Facebook, you'll see all about our most recent driver appreciation that took place Thursday of last week. Had dozens upon dozens of drivers at the El Paso location, then Laredo, Nashville, Denver. We gave away a brand new 2023 Nissan to Ray Schultz. Ray Schultz had been with us for a while here. He's a really good guy. People know him on a first name basis throughout the organization. Was glad to see him get that. Averaged about 12.5 miles a gallon for the previous quarter, which is unreal. I mean, that's a big number, 12.5 miles a gallon. But he's a hell of a safe driver. And so if you follow us on Mesilla Valley Transportation on Facebook, you'll see that, as well as about 30 some odd pictures from a very festive driver appreciation. Great food, a lot of giveaways, and really a good time had by all. And we do it every single quarter. We don't, again, we can't contain it in a single week. We do it 4 times a year.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pictures now on Facebook, so everybody should definitely go and follow MVT on Facebook. It's definitely about 30 pics on here showing everything. This is a lot of pictures, and it shows a sky view of everything. So this is pretty cool. This is awesome.
It was. It's always a big event. Royal Jones actively participates, along with multiple layers of the management team, fleet managers, dispatchers, guard shack attendants, you name it. It's a big event there, and most importantly, the drivers are there. We're excited we get to have them come through our facilities, put faces and names together, and so it's something we like doing at least once a quarter. And of course, the car giveaway is always one of the fun things about that.
Do you remember what kind of car he got?
Yeah, it's a 2023 Nissan Altima.
Oh, nice. It was an all-day event. I'm looking at it. This is awesome. This is awesome.
Yeah, we don't go small.
Yeah, this was awesome.
And the one for next quarter right now is sitting in our lobby as we speak, that will get given away in quarter 4.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so tell us again what it takes to win the car. So what Ray did, and what the minimum requirements are, and how to get coached up. And I know Ray's been there for quite a while.
He has. You join us in the first quarter that you run a full quarter with us, you're eligible for the car. The key here is getting the best fuel economy on the fleet. Every quarter it seems to change here. We do not get back-to-back winners very often, though Ray wants to prove us wrong on that. Like I said, Ray averaged almost 12.5 miles a gallon, which is a really impressive number, almost twice the industry average as far as what we normally see. That's controlled by driver behavioral patterns while driving, pre-planning, less stopping and starting, no hard braking. There's a lot of things that you can do to influence that. We work with our team of drivers on training mechanisms to do that, including the Smith system and numerous other training seminars that we'll do with our drivers in order to get the best MPGs available, as well as providing them with the equipment to do it. So in an industry where we average about 6.5 miles a gallon, and we beat that by over 3 miles a gallon, we take MPGs extremely seriously here. We work together on it. If you're not winning, we'll help you win. We'll get you to where you need to be in competition for that car. And it's probably one of the things I'm most excited that we do every quarter is do that car giveaway. I got choked up about it. That car giveaway there. And so it's something that we do that's different. And on top of that, at the end of the year, whoever has the best annual MPG bonus gets $25,000 in cash.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, they can't beat the headset that Will Show is giving, but the headset is close to the car. It's close.
Now, Blue Parrot's nice. I don't know if it's the same though as a brand new car, but it's close. It's in the same ballpark.
It's in the same ballpark. Definitely, it's close. Okay, that's pretty awesome. All righty. So, what I want to do is Kayla, did you want to do a question now? Did you want to go to commercial about the car and then?
I do have a question ready, actually, if you're
Okay.
ready. A driver had asked, what kind of camera system do you use?
Yeah, I tell you what, I can get that for you. I don't have the exact of it. It's inward and outward facing. And like we talked about last week, inward should not be something to fear. I know a lot of drivers don't want Big Brother, quite frankly, staring at them all day long. With that said, the truck comes with privacy curtains. And honestly, the only way the inward facing camera is activated is through a sudden movement, like a hard brake, a collision, as an example. It will take about 15 seconds worth of imagery to get what's going on in the scenario. It helps the driver. 9 times out of 10, it's going to get the driver out of an issue where we need evidence of what took place on the scene of an accident. It is a blessing, not a curse. With that said, we do not have a staff of 1,000 people sitting watching people's cameras all day long. It's just not a practical use of it. I can get the exact name of the camera system, though, and I'll get back to you on that. That's a good question. Don't mind getting it.
Awesome, thank you. And I do have one more that came through. If a driver has a family emergency and they're on the road, right, they're not supposed to be on their phones, things like that, how do you guys handle a family emergency for a driver?
Yeah, well, obviously, it's always a case-by-case basis, depending on what the emergency is. But that's why that relationship between the fleet manager and the driver is so important. Some emergencies mean I need 2 hours to sit because I have to have conversations on the phone and figure out what's going on. Others means I need to get on a plane and travel halfway across the country to get someplace. So it's really a case-by-case basis, and being creative on how to do that. One of the advantages that we do have because of our engineered lanes and having traffic going down those lanes multiple times gives us the ability to potentially repower a load if need be, or what's called T-calling, where you put a load in one location and somebody else comes and gets it. So it gives us some flexibility on that end that some carriers may not normally have. The key on that end is talk to each other, find out what it is that the driver needs in that scenario, what we need to do to make sure the customer's not cheated in the situation. And so that's where, as Kameel brought up earlier, we've talked about it a lot on the show, it comes down to communication between the driver, between the fleet manager, between other people that are decision makers in the process, coming up with the best scenario for both the driver and the customer.
Anything else? Because that's really good.
That's all I got right now.
That's all you got? Okay, let's definitely go to commercial and then we will come right back. And women want to do this because Bart gets upset. We'll be back in 2 and 2.
Mi nombre es Carlos Vázquez. Tengo trabajando 3 años aproximadamente y somos B1 y andamos en territorio de Estados Unidos. Lo que me gusta de MVT es que tiene buenos viajes, buenos camiones y muy buenas millas. Mi comunicación con el despacho es muy buena y todo eso, y siempre están a la orden del día. ¿Qué pienso del equipo de los camiones? Pues que están muy bien y les dan sus mantenimientos, sus PO y todo lo demás, alineación y balanceo, todo, cambio de llantas y excelente servicio. La compañía cada trimestre regala un auto para los operadores. Me motiva pues a crecer más como persona y pues, para dar el 100, como dicen, para la compañía.
Welcome back. Okay, so I know we talked about safety today. We talked about the hot jobs. We went over the chaining and everything. We had a few questions. What I wanted to do is talk about the inside of the truck, and what jogged my memory, even though I know we talk about it a lot, but because D'Anthony called today, and that was the driver that got hired last week, right? He got hired last week, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's all excited about working, and I'm so excited for him too. But he's all excited about working for MVT. But because he was excited about his truck, I want you to kind of go over the truck, all the innovative, everything about the truck, and then we can go to the commercial that talks about all the details. And I want to point out the guy in the commercial is a pretty tall fella. So he's not an average height. He's 6'5". So when he's standing inside that condo, you see that he has a lot of room. I just want to point that out. That's pretty significant.
Yep, 2019 and newer internationals, generally speaking, not many of the 2019s left. We are kind of in that phase on that year. Average truck age, though, is about 1.5, 1.6 years. Low mileage on those trucks, very little wear and tear. Comes with a safeguard on it for animal strikes. It's fully loaded for you to be comfortable in there. We are not a true OTR company. Most of our drivers are staying out 4 to 6 days. Couple divisions like we talked about with 220 where you may stay out 7 to 8 days, but they're set up like OTR trucks. You have no need to bring a power inverter with you. That truck is already spec'd out, so you can plug in your microwave, your video game system, a refrigerator, all set up for you completely on that end. I've seen some creativity used on drivers as far as what they bring and plug into that truck, but it's all set up. You have your APU unit, so you're going to be comfortable in it and not have to run the air conditioning using the diesel fuel, but rather the APU going through there on that end. It's a 71-inch sleeper berth. It's not the normal standard 56-inch sleeper berth. That distance makes a lot of difference. It's not a mid-roof, it's a full-roof truck, so you're able to stand up fully. The truck's basically spec'd for a team, even though we'll have a solo driver in the truck. You will be very comfortable on the road in that truck. I assure you that you will have ample space. It will be detailed for you when you come out of orientation. You will have a new mattress. You will like the truck and the way you feel in the truck, which ultimately is a big thing, because if you're going to be away from home, as I would say, that's a sacrifice. You do not want to be in what would be called a hoopty. Do not get stuck in a truck that you're not comfortable. It's not worth leaving the house if you are in a truck that's not safe and not comfortable.
Perfecto. I had a question that Raven just said somebody asked. Is MVT doing lease purchase?
We do a lease program. So once you, and it's not lease purchase, it's a lease program, and there's a difference on that. The challenge with a lease purchase program is, I won't name off the carrier. I will say that there's a Tennessee-based carrier that has white trucks in both flatbeds and dry vans. Use your imagination. And what I can tell you based off of last year, that the average that they had completing the 3 to 5 year leases they had was a little over 1%. Meaning for every 100 people that signed up and basically made a big financial commitment, ended up never completing the lease. 99 out of 100 didn't complete the lease. There's a lot of things that hurt those general lease programs. It is a big thing at the end, as an example, when you have a balloon payment, or your truck payment's so steep that you can't afford the weekly payments. It's just not going to work. We do what's called a lease program with ours. You don't own the truck, and honestly, you don't want to own the truck. You want to be your own boss. You want to be a business owner. You want to have nice, reliable equipment. This allows you to do it. Generally, they go on to a 3-year lease program. At the end of the 3 years, you just trade up. There's no balloon payment. There's no payment at the end that's going to be some caveat. There's no real credit score that's used on it. You come in, you run with us for about 6 months. After 6 months, the advantage of going into that, though we have had people do it as quick as 90 days, but generally the rule of thumb 6 months, is you now know we can provide you the freight. You generally don't want to go to a company and get into a lease purchase program until you know what kind of freight you're going to run and how much money you're going to make, and are we going to keep you busy. And so I would highly advise against getting into a lease of any kind without knowing how you're going to run and how busy you're going to be able to stay. The other part of that equation is our trucks generally are going to be at least about 2 to 3 years old on that lease program. So you're not paying for a brand new truck. You know, a brand new truck on the open market right now, if you go look at what you are going to pay for a new truck, it's going to range between $170,000 to $210,000. That is a really big payment on a brand new truck. So it's a manageable payment. It works within the freight that we have for you. And it's another advantage of our engineered lanes, is that you have some consistency in knowing 1 week's going to be similar to the next.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Advice wholeheartedly is do not jump into a company and go into a lease. Whether you do a lease program, and I'm not extremely fond of those either, or I mean, a lease purchase or a lease program. I am more fond of lease programs than lease purchases, honestly. But don't jump into it. First, go into the company, feel it out, and see if it's for you. First of all, you really don't know, and you don't want to get tied into being a small business owner in this company if they don't have the freight for you, if it's not for you, and now you are hemmed up in it, versus if you are a company driver, then it's you can back out of a situation faster. So I definitely agree with that. Very few lease purchases pan out. There are some that are good, but quite quite a few of them are not. They're not made for the driver to win. But there are some that are good. But majority of them are not. The payments are too high. You can't control. You can't control it. Can't control your freight. You have no control.
Look, and some of it depends on the motivation of the driver too. And so anytime a driver starts a lease purchase program and the first thing the driver says is, now I can get home more often and stay home longer, you're going to fail at the lease purchase program. You have too much of a financial responsibility. The other part of that is creating a P&L statement. So if you're doing a lease or a lease purchase program, just like any business owner, you need to create a P&L statement and understand, not on a per mile basis, but on a daily basis, how much revenue you need to bring in and how many days you need to work in a month. It becomes very important that you have those things. So anytime you do a lease program of any sort, you should be able to lay out in an Excel file a basic P&L of all your expenses, including paying yourself, your meals, understanding the dynamics of, if I don't work this day and this day, what does this cost me, not just on those days, but for your entire month. Additionally, understanding your maintenance costs. There's a lot of drivers that it becomes very complicated. It can be done, but you have to have the business acumen for it and understand the cost of every action that you take. If that's not for you, do not get in a lease program. It is not going to work out well for you.
I
If that
agree.
is something you like doing, then by all means.
Yeah, I agree with you because you're not at that point. You're not a truck driver. You're a small business.
Yep.
So it's a little bit different, and you're a small business owner that is actually operating. So you probably have to work a little bit more now because you're your own employee. So it's definitely different. So the minute I hear someone saying, "Yes, I want to get in a lease so I can control my own time," that's fine. But I want to so I can have more home time. No, that's
And I will say the common trend that I see with anybody that has been successful doing it, which I can recount numerous people that have been, is because they're detailed. They understand the cost of their actions. They understand when they take a day off, what it costs them. They understand the value of slowing down the truck when fuel prices are going up as they are now, and speeding up the truck when fuel prices are going down to take advantage of the fuel surcharge. There are people that are successful at it, but that is exactly correct, Kameel. The mindset of a small business owner versus the mindset of an employee have to be different for survival.
Yeah, and I was talking to an owner operator earlier, a friend of mine, and he's been doing this 14 years. Percy has been doing this 14 years, and we was talking about seasons. And it was so funny when we talk about seasons, being in the industry for so long, we're not talking about winter, fall, spring. We're talking about economy seasons. How, every I say 4 years, but then trucking economist told me no, it's 3.8 years. But anyway, same difference. 4 years, it does all of this. So being able to know the seasons and how long, and when the dip is so long like that, and what you do and how long you park your truck and how you expand and when it's time to pivot and things like that. So knowing what to do in seasons, and when you talk about the fuel surcharges, and that's all in it.
Yep.
Perfect. So Kayla, take us to commercial. Let's definitely look at the commercial with the tall guy while he's standing in the condo and being able to explain all of that.
At Mesilla Valley Transportation, every driver is behind the wheel of a late model International LT, a truck that takes comfort, convenience, and safety to a whole new level. Join us as we explore the impressive features of this powerhouse on wheels. The open road is full of surprises, and sometimes that includes unexpected encounters with wildlife. But worry not, the International LT has you covered. The front end protection guard offers an extra layer of defense, protecting you from animal strikes. Drive with confidence, knowing that you're shielded from the unexpected. We all know how important it is to keep our batteries charged, and our International LTs have your back. The Cummins X15 is equipped with an auto start feature, ensuring that your batteries are automatically recharged when they run low on volts. It's a seamless process that keeps you powered up and ready to hit the road. Disc brakes and an engine brake provide reliable and safe stopping power when you need it most. You can have peace of mind knowing that you're in control. Safety is at the forefront of what we do. Our International LTs are equipped with top-of-the-line safety features to ensure your well-being while out on the road. These tractors are equipped with Bendix fusion protection, collision mitigation, and lane departure warning. Achieving good fuel efficiency deserves recognition. With the International LT, your efforts don't go unnoticed. When you consistently achieve impressive miles per gallon, the International LT rewards you with increased speed. It's a little extra motivation to keep you pushing for better fuel economy. After a long drive, you're ready for a well-deserved break. With the International LT, you can enjoy your rest period in absolute comfort. Thanks to its auxiliary power unit, you can keep the driver's cabin heated or cooled just the way you like it. No matter the weather outside, you'll always find your sweet spot within our International LTs. The International LT understands that comfort extends beyond driving. It's a space where you can truly feel at home. I'm a big guy, and I have room to move around in here. With plenty of room to spare, the International LT accommodates even the tallest drivers. And there's ample storage for all your clothes, cooking essentials, and tools, making life on the road even more convenient. Speaking of cooking, bring along your appliances and don't sacrifice any luxuries thanks to all of our International LTs being equipped with built-in inverters. Dry your hair, make a smoothie, or play a game, all from the comfort of your truck. We take pride in our well-maintained fleet. And if by chance you do come across something wrong on your truck, you're never far from help thanks to our valuable relationship with Penske. With more than 750 brick and mortar Penske shops nationwide, their expert team is always ready to assist you. From routine maintenance to unexpected repairs, they'll get you taken care of and back on the road in no time. And there you have it. Just a few things about this late model International LT that make MVT the place to be.
Welcome back, everybody. I want to close everything out by basically just reiterating our challenge for next week for the Truck Driver Appreciation Week from the 10th through the 16th. I want to make it very easy. I love truck drivers, and I want to do the Elite Challenge for Virgo truck drivers because today is my birthday, so I want to honor that. So for Virgos that are born in the month of September, if you can prove that you are born in the month of September and you are a Virgo, so don't try to sneak in with the little Libras and all of that. And I want to be able for Rig on Wheel Show to sponsor and buy you a Blue Parrot noise canceling headset to promote safety where you're not having to touch for texting. You can do voice to text, answer your phone to text. I don't want you to get any tickets, get terminated, or anything like that when it comes to your carrier. So we just want to promote all of the safety. So definitely 281-968-3100, 281-968-3100. And if you're looking for the job that Pierson was talking about, the Division 220 out of Phoenix, where you'll be training and making those six figures a year, definitely give us a call at 281-968-3100. Or you can go to the website and fill out the application at rigonwheels.com. So if you're wanting the headset, you just text. If you're needing the job, you call or you fill out the application on the website. And if you're looking for any other job, definitely give us a call at 281-968-3100 or go to the website at rigonwheels.com. Did you have anything else you wanted to say, Pierson?
Nope, but happy 27th birthday, Kameel.
Yes, 27 all over again. Okay, good times. We'll see you next week, Tuesday, live again, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time on whatever platform you're watching us on. Bye-bye.